corruption will get tougher, and there is no going back on the federal government's plan, says the acting president, Yemi Osinbajo. The government will not relent in efforts to apprehend and bring corruption suspects to justice, he says. The acting president was speaking at the 5th annual lecture of the Christopher Kolade Business Integrity, listening to the achievements of the Buhari-led administration. He said that they have focused on bringing persons accused of corruption to justice. Data feeds are coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms, channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Be part of the show. You can also get us live right now on m.channels.tv. We've got all our platforms and social media covered. Be part of the show. Tweet at Gimba Umar CTV and use the hashtag State of the Nation to air your thoughts on the subject. Nigeria has officially exported 72 tons of yam in an unprecedented move to increase its foreign exchange. It's targeting $8 billion yearly for the exports. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, Aldo Ogbe, believes that Nigeria actually overproduces its food, saying that 30 to 40% of some of the food produced in Nigeria is wasted because of poor preservation capacity. Will this cause any hardship, though? What happens to the costs of the root crop to a largely hungry 70% of the country's population? Now, the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has signed an executive order on Thursday to back the Voluntary Asset Income Declaration Scheme, VAIDS, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Key government officials, including the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, witnessed the signing of the executive order and launch of the scheme, which the acting president said is targeted at increasing tax awareness and compliance. It will also grant taxpayers a time-limited opportunity to regularize their tax status without penalty. We'll focus on the two episodes here on State of the Nation. It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation. Welcome to State of the Nation, everyone in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar. Behind me, data feeds are still coming through, all in one place, simultaneously covering all our social media platforms. Be part of the show. Tweet at Gimba Umar CTV. Use the hashtag State of the Nation. Now, taxes are not only about boosting government revenues. When people pay taxes, they hold the government to account more. That much was said by the acting president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, at the launch of the Voluntary Assets Income Declaration Scheme, VAIDS, in Abuja. Now, let's focus on this now, shall we? Tax expert, Mr. Albert Folorunsho, who also doubles as the managing consultant of Pedabo Practitioners, also a member of the Presidential Committee on VAIDS. He joins me in the studio, as well as Zakabala. He is a chartered tax practitioner. He is also here to look at the impact of the latest tax backing by the government on the economy. I want to thank you so much indeed, gentlemen, for coming on the show at this time. Run us through how this VAIDS project is expected to work.
Okay, as you have said, VAIDS means Voluntary Asset and Income Declaration Scheme. It is a time-limited opportunity that has been set up by the Minister of Finance, by the federal government, to give opportunity to tax evaders, non-compliant taxpayers, and those who have not even come to the tax state to voluntarily declare their assets and income and pay the tax due on those income.
Okay, let's look at the possible ways in which we know that taxes have been evaded by and large in this country. Let's look at how this has been perpetrated over the past time. We have manipulating account records by keeping two sets of books. The acting president actually talked about that extensively. How are we supposed to stop that act?
Well, that is one of the objectives of this scheme. A lot of companies that have not been compliant in the past find it difficult to even reconcile their records to change to being compliant. And if they are not given this type of opportunity, they will probably continue to perpetrate the same fraudulent practices. Okay, so with this opportunity, companies are expected to come clean to declare their asset and income on which taxes have not been paid in the past and regularize their tax records and pay those taxes. And that window is open for 9 months, starting from 1st of July to 31st of March 2018.
How much taxes is the government raking into its coffers at this time, do you think?
Well, it's difficult to estimate how much tax, but with the GDP ratio of 6%, it is expected that at the end of the scheme, which is lasting for 9 months, we will have gone up to about 8 to 10%. And that is huge. The last amnesty that was done by the FRS raked in so much money, over 27 billion in Naira. And I expect that this covers both individuals and corporate bodies. And definitely you expect that the inflow from this scheme will be much more than what happened during the FRS amnesty program.
So you're a member of the presidential committee set up to push this VADES agenda. Let's talk to Zaka Bala. Zaka, what's happening to the age-long debate of property taxation? Is this VADES agenda going to address that?
Sure. First of all, you need to ask a very simple question. Why must responsible citizens and companies pay tax? It is simply because tax is not only a civic responsibility, right? It's something that is a compulsory levy, as long as it is coming from a legally constituted public authority. That means federal government can tell you to pay tax. You can pay tax to state governments, and you can pay tax to what? Local government. But the question is this: why must I evade tax? It's a fundamental question that has to be answered. There are 1,001 reasons why responsible citizens decide to evade tax. But in the case of VADE, apart from tax evasion, I can decide to avoid tax if there are lacunas and faults or holes in your tax laws. But as long as my government is responsible, I can decide to voluntarily pay that tax that ordinarily I will have avoided. So it has a lot to do with the government. As long as the government is responsible, a lot of the tax evaders are likely to be caught, either reprimanded or punished. But a lot of those who are even avoiding tax because of faults and lacunas in the tax laws can, out of their conscience, decide to pay. Because all of us are interested in the growth of our respective countries. And remember, one of the principal reasons why people must pay tax is because it is not only a fiscal weapon for controlling an economy, it is also a major source of revenue. Let's have responsible government and people will pay tax.